Excuse me, ma'am, may I get a cup of Vladilena Milize? I mean, Lena. Shin Nozen. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to none other than 86. It's back. Finally, after all of these long months of waiting, in fact, 86 days of waiting, Vladilena Milize, Shin Nozen, Frederica, and the gang have returned to bless us with another new episode of 86, the penultimate episode. We only got one more episode left after this, and we're going to discuss actually quite a bit about this episode. Honestly, there is so much to talk about, so I want to go ahead and get right into it, but right before we do that, I'm going to say as well that this Thursday, you may want to stick around if you like 86 because I'm going to have a video out on Shin Nozen, which I think you guys will greatly appreciate, especially after this episode, as we're going to go pretty much in depth on his character. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead, get right in to the episode. Of course, this just picks right up from episode 21 as you'd expect. Kiria asks Shin why he's still alive when he wants to die the most on the battlefield, and then we get into this really awesome sequence where Shin basically relives events in his past and all of the people that he's met over the years. He first sees his brother, he hears the voice of his brother Shorei to tell him to not remember him after he dies, but Shin, he is the kind of person that just won't forget, which I love that touch. That's something you want to keep in your mind as we go along with this episode, because I think Shorei telling him that was a really big moment for his character. I also want to say that I love the use of aspect ratios in this episode. Not only did the episode look very cinematic, just in terms of animation quality, I mean, they really nailed this episode, but as well, I like they use Shin's consciousness in this episode as like a part of the aspect ratio itself. Like, the aspect ratio is a symbolism of his actual conflict inside of his head, which I think is really smart to do, honestly. It's really creative. So he sees all of his dead comrades again. They thank him, which I think this is his inner consciousness trying to remind him that he has to keep fighting and forget about all of this because his heart is supposed to be cold. He's put up all of these really big walls, and not only that, the only reason he's survived this long is because of whatever his objective that was given to him. In this case, it was taking down Morpho. His only purpose for living after his brother died was pretty much just to find a way to fight and find a way to, as well, I guess, die, because now he struggles with this prospect of finally, realizing his purpose after war, which is forcing him to confront all of these really dark and toxic mindsets about himself and just confronting himself in general. I love the next part where Shin takes the knife and he's trying to stab the symbol of the Undertaker and the knife breaks, because I think this is an example of people, it's very easy for others to wish happiness to Shin while he is the one left alive to pick up all the pieces. And I think this right here in this episode, that line of thinking is actually challenged at the end when it's revealed that actually all the 86 members survive. This episode in many ways was just hammering in that Shin is someone who for a long time definitely needed these toxic mindsets to get forward in life, but at the very same time, he doesn't need these, what is essentially coping mechanisms anymore. He has people that are not going to, die on him. He has people in his life that will support him and give him love and care that he needs. And for the first part of this episode, it's basically just his consciousness trying to tell him that he is fighting for death. He is fighting. His whole reason for fighting is to die on the battlefield. When I think a counterpoint here is that subconsciously he was fighting to find purpose, not to find death, which I think is actually a really cool thing to think about, honestly. And as well, I think this is really backed up with the next line, which is he kind of hurts when others give compassion to him, because it allows him to actually feel something when his survival was necessitated on putting up high walls in the first place. I mean, imagine all of the guilt, the survivor's guilt, because this is really what this is, getting down to it. Shin has a tremendous amount of survival's guilt. At the end of the day, all of this survival's guilt weighs heavy on him and has a heavy toll. And I love how the aspect ratio keeps closing in on him as if it's a kind of a way to symbolize that the dark side in this moment is winning again, though at the same time it shows that Shin is ready to move on from this mindset, because while the aspect ratios doesn't close in, he doesn't sit there and accept it. He's actually putting out and reaching out his hand for help, and I think it's really cool that the image, the thing that he's grabbing after is the members of the current 86. And then as he wakes up out of his state of whatever he was going through there, he just lets out a frustrating scream. It was, I can't remember who the voice actor for Shin Nozen is, but he did wonderful in really this whole entire episode, but this scene in particular and the scenes we just discussed here. It really shows that Shin is just so frustrated that not only is he still alive after all of this, not only that, but all of the people, at least from his point of view, he thinks they're all dead now and they've all left him, and now he's here once again to pick up the pieces, because when he looks down, he sees that piece of that mech from his brother, and it's really sad. I mean, it really is, though thankfully immediately that's pretty much corrected. What happens next is somewhat vague, I think, and this is what I like about 86's director. Once again, I forget the director of 86's name, but he's really honestly perfect for this series, because what happens next is some of, I guess, Kiri is still alive, and as Shin realizes this, and I don't know if this actually happened or if this was somewhat of a hallucination or something that was said inside of Shin's head, but Shin actually begs for Kiri to come and kill him. And this is where I think one of the most hype moments in anime I've seen in recent memory happens. Lena returns to save Shin, and then they converse. Yo. I have never been so happy for a character to return in my life. When Shin was saved by Lena, I literally jumped up out of my chair. Not because, I love Lena or anything like that. I'm not in love with her. She's not my waifu or anything like that, Baka. I mean, Sabelina is. Right, guys? Right, guys? This next scene is just a conversation, really, between Lena and Shin, and it feels so earned. After 86 days of waiting, after even longer of, with these episodes being solely focused on Shin, it's been so long since we've seen Lena and what she's up to. I mean, before this, the last thing we saw of her was San Magnolia being under attack, and we didn't know if she was alive or dead. I mean, well, obviously she was very alive. She's the main character of the show. Lena's not dying. She pretty much sells the show in many ways. So the first conversation they kind of have, it's really interesting. Lena actually expresses the cruelty of the mission. Actually, she almost thinks that the person in the mech is actually dead and turns away. But when Shin starts talking, she starts to question, like, why are you out here? And she thinks that, he's out here alone on this mission, and expresses that cruelty. And I love that. It's such a small line. It doesn't really technically mean anything, but I think it's important she says that, because it reminds you immediately what Lena is about. And by the way, if you don't know, I have a whole character analysis, like a whole breakdown on Lena Milize. I did a whole video on it. Of course, it's right here. You can check up in the cards. You can watch it after you get done watching this video, which I highly recommend you do. It's a sort of a bit of an underrated video, but it's one of my best in my opinion. But Lena seems to imply that everyone, at least in the Republic of San Magnolia, everyone has fallen there, which is sort of a sad realization, because it makes you think, is Lena really one of the commanding leaders left? If so, does that make her the commander, the leader of San Magnolia? That would be interesting if that were the outcome. But anyways, Shin actually asks if she wants to come along. Of course, I bet everyone was like, Lena, say yes. Say yes. But actually, Lena refuses to abandon her country and soldiers, and even though she may be inadequate, at least from the terms of a military might kind of perspective, she still wants to keep fighting, and that's good old Lena for you right there. That is 100% her character. She is a leader through and through. Shin starts to sort of project his feelings, though, of helplessness onto Lena, of like, well, if your country has fallen, then what is there any point? Don't you just want to die at this point? But still, Lena can't really accept death because she has people that depends on her, and she will fight until her last breath because she's got to fight the good fight. She's not going to run from it. And all I can think of this is just Lena is such a good bean. I mean, she really is. Shin is lucky to have such a great girlfriend. Then there's also that little scene where Shin realizes it's the Major when she uses the Pararade, which I think this Pararade thing is one of the biggest payoffs. Oh my god, Asato is so brilliant putting the Pararade in this, because she put this in here basically just for this moment entirely. I mean, obviously for other moments as well, but oh my lord. The Pararade, that was one of the biggest payoffs from season 1. Holy crap. If you go back to season 1, there's actually a line where I think one of the nameless handlers says, "Yo, why do they make us wear this Pararade? It's like so mysterious and stuff. I heard people can hear the dead through the Pararade if you use it too much." Like there was this whole thing, and I even remember on the King of Anime podcast when we discuss it every week, I remember saying stuff like, man, this Pararade thing is pretty mysterious, and now we know why it's here. It's for this entirely. Which is really awesome. Then, this part is so cool. The aspect ratio turns white and somewhat translucent, and the call plays. But it's like a more emotional, stripped down version of the call. Man, Sawano, he's doing it again. This was, guys. I love this episode, guys. Shin, even when he realizes it's the Major, even says, "Major?" And they both surprise one another, and he cuts his comms immediately. I think at this point, Lena sort of realizes that, oh, this is probably someone from the 86. I mean, how can you not after this? That's kind of what I want to see. In the next episode, they're going to interact with one another. They got to marry and stuff. They can't not be in a relationship after this, guys. They're going to marry. They're going to be living happily until the ripe old age of 342. That's what I hope. And when that happens, Lena first is going to have to say, "Yeah, I realized that was you after you said the Major." God, I can't wait for next episode. Oh, it's going to be so great. But anyways, as this is happening, Morpho explodes into this colorful shrapnel. And I wonder, because 86 has so much detail in the world building and stuff like that, and just, military stuff. And I mean, already they used like heat missiles in one episode, which was really cool. So like they know detail, right? They got it down. So I wonder if Morpho exploding is more than just an artistic thing, or maybe it's like a double-edged thing, where it's like, it's both artistic, but as well, this is actually what happens when the Morpho explodes. It explodes into colorful shrapnel. So good. Guys, did I already tell you that I love this episode? But it's actually revealed that Lena kept fighting all of this time because it was Shine who told her not to forget him, which is exactly the same thing that Shorei told Shin, but as well, oh my god, her hearing that from Shin actually saved Lena. Guys, this is the best ship, right? This is the best ship. There's no other ship that's better than this, right? Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. And if you do, be prepared for the backlash. Oh my god, and even better, Vladilena still carries their drawing and picture of all of the 86 together. Lena's still such a good bean. Anyways, Lena talks about how even though all of these members of the 86, or at least to her, perceived dead, she still wants to go where they wanted to go. And Lena thinks that actually Shine should be more proud of himself because he survived, not be ashamed of himself because he survived. That's such an interesting way to think about it, and I think Lena is definitely one of those figures where she's more of a glass half full, but she's still very realistic and very grounded about all that stuff. That's something something in my own daily life I try to have, where I try to be optimistic but as well grounded at the same time. I think many people would call this kind of ideal and thought process cautious optimism. I would definitely agree with that, and it's a very healthy way to live in my opinion. But sadly, the Legion returns. But another plot twist here is the Yadian Empire is there to stop them, which I think is really cool because even Vladilena is very surprised by all of that. I also like how Slycops? Damn it. I also like how Cyclops notices the badge on Shin's mech. That's really cool. It's a nice little touch that even among the people that are still left in San Magnolia, Shin's legend runs deep, though Vladilena doesn't really actually notice the badge or the symbol on his mech. But then it's revealed, hey, the 86 survived, and Kurina has, I guess for, surviving has become everyone's punching bag for this episode, which was, I thought, kind of funny in a way, because Kurina's, she is the sister, right? She has become that. It is not Kurina that is calling Shin daddy, it is now Lena that will do so. So the 86 surviving, I think in my opinion, shows that Shin, in terms of his mindset, he can put his worries to rest. It shows that this toxic mentality in his head that everyone that he even remotely cares about or fights with even is going to die can be put to rest. These people are not leaving from his life, and I think if there will be some people out there that are going to say, oh, this was a cheap cop-out, like even Raiden, he obviously died, and well, yes, I do agree that, it's pretty obvious in that episode that Raiden kind of showed that he died there and took one for the bullet. I took one for the team, rather. I even said that in my last video on 86, which you can go ahead and check out right here if you want to after this video ends. I think it is also somewhat necessary for Shin's character at the same time for these characters to survive, and it makes more sense for them to survive than to die in this instance. So it's more logical from a storytelling perspective that all of the 86 survive. So no, I don't find it an issue. In fact, I would if they did die. Ernst even gets on the comms and is really worried about Shin, which is always really nice to see. It seems like he's definitely of the fatherly type of this series, which I definitely really appreciate because he brings a kind of a much needed seriousness to the series, but also levity. And I think his relationship with Shin and even Frederica is actually kind of wholesome if you think about it. They also kind of, they basically in more ways than one say they're going to save San Magnolia because Shin doesn't want Lena or her people to die without saying it outright. And all I can say is, man, Shin is a really good boyfriend. He is a very, very good boyfriend. I can see why all the ladies love Shin. Maybe even I'm feeling something a little something for Shin. Who knows? We'll have to, check back in next week. We'll see. I also love how Ernst, you see Frederica peek in from the, from behind Shin. And Ernst is like, well, Frederica, I did not forget about you. You are going to be scolded for your stunt. I love how Shin says, put her in a container and ship her back. Why did that sound like Duke Nukem there? It's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of gum. Anyways, I like how Shin replies, though, with, Shin, you're betraying me? I said it on Twitter, at SeaTacticsYT, you can follow me there, that since I'm reading actually the novels of 86 right now, I'm on volume 2. I like how Frederica, they make sure to show that while she is someone, even for her age of being just a 10-year-old child, she can speak really well of someone even 3 times her age. At the same time, she still carries those childlike demeanors, and this is an example of that I really enjoy. With Frederica, though, we learn that Kiri was actually able to save Frederica at the last moment, which I think I talked about that in my last video on 86, where, I want there to be some sort of redemption for Kiri, and I think this was it. I think him sending out his Majin Buu liquid, nanites, I don't even know what to call this, sending what was left of that out of his mech to try at the last moment to save Frederica, I think that was his sort of redemption there to show that, he kind of went insane and was taken over by the Legion, but at the same time, he still retained at least a little bit of himself, which is really nice to see because as been established, once you're a part of the Legion, basically you're corrupted. And even the Legion couldn't corrupt everything about Kiri. Also, I like the whole thing where Shin realizes the gun that he gave Frederica isn't needed anymore and actually was just an excuse to fight on the battlefield in the first place, which it shows right there that Shin has changed. Like, you can't say Shin is a character that hasn't gone through character development after that. That line right there proves that he went through a hell of a lot of character development. development. As well, Shin didn't give Lena his name because they're going to catch up anyways, which means that next episode, I can't wait. Frederica, though, actually teases Shin about his girlfriend. That was a really nice scene as well. And Frederica calls all men creatures who get really hard. So I feel offended. Shin and Lena actually, though, are on the same path. So Frederica asks, what is Shin's purpose in all of this? And obviously his purpose at this point is to have all the children with Lena, because that's what he should do, because I will accept nothing less. And then the end credit scene. So I hope you guys didn't click off when the end credits started to play, because yeah, there was actually an end credit scene during the end credits. And what it is basically the 86 become bullies and tease Shin about Lena playing the recording back of what she said to him about don't forget me. And even Kurina sort of gets in a jab there. She's just so happy that Shin's happy, which shows that I guess she's moved on from Shin. So that's good. This episode was amazing. Guys, this was a 10 out of 10 episode. This was well worth the wait. I'd wait 86 more days for this. Well, probably not 86 more days, but maybe like a week or two extra I would have waited for this episode, because this episode was absolutely worth it in every single way. This over-delivered, I think, in some aspects, because this episode just had so much character development. It closed out the arc in season 1, at least, for Shine's character, and it made me just want to watch the next episode really bad, which is an impressive feat to pull off when you've taken 86 days off. So tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think about this episode of 86? Let me know. I want to know. If you guys haven't already, check out my Vladilena Millie's video and why she's such an important character in the series, but as well my 86 playlist where you can watch all of my 86 videos if you want to get caught up. And yeah, this Thursday, Shine Nozen video. Check it out. It's going to be great. See you guys later. Bye-bye.